Okay, I hope everyone can both see and hear me. If you can't, let me know now and we'll make sure that we can get everything enabled, but let's crack on. So I'm absolutely delighted to be with you all today. My name is Nikki Dow. I work for a company called Arm, and my job is Senior Director of Technical Communications. What that means is I look after about 110 individual people who work for me, and we write a lot of documents and we make sure that our customers can get hold of the products that we make through an online web delivery system. So some of you may have heard of Arm before, some of you might not. So I just wanted to give a little overview of some of the things that include our products. So Arm doesn't actually make anything. We don't manufacture something that you can buy in a shop. But what we do is design technology that most of the world uses in one way or another. So you can see hopefully some pictures here. I won't talk about all of them, but I'll pick on a couple of them. You'll probably be familiar with cars. So on the top row there, on the third picture along, is something called a Nissan Leaf. Some of you might even have one of these cars, but this actually uses some of our CPU, so our core processing technology, to run the entire engine control system. So if anything goes wrong, you typically plug a computer into it to try and diagnose some of the problems. One of the other things that you can see here on the bottom left is a really neat piece of technology. So this is called a babbler, and this is a shipping container tamper detection device. So what does that mean? It's a little tiny sensor that you stick onto the door of a container or the door of a very big lorry that you often see carrying goods backwards and forwards. And what that allows you to do when you connect to it through a smartphone or through a radio is to actually read the temperature inside the container, and you can tell whether the door has been opened or not for somebody to steal some of the contents. So that's a really neat piece of technology to help safeguard all of the things that you like to both eat and buy and use as they are shipped from one place to another. There's another car there. I quite like cars. So this is an Audi. This is an Audi A8. And the majority of all the electronic systems used in that car are run by the products that we design and that our customers buy and then build. So for anything from the electric windows to the engine starting, it's all run by the computer technology that my company designs. So it's quite surprising that you will actually find Arm designs in about 70% of the world's population's use of technology. That's a massive number. So this is the whole world. 70% of the world's population will use some kind of technology that Arm has designed and that our customers have actually then built and sold on, which is a phenomenal statistic. So I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about me and a little bit about my career. I will offer this as the pattern of my career. So whether you are just thinking about what you want to do later on in life, or whether you're already in the middle of doing some things and making some choices around your working life, my career has always been a series of ups and downs. So it starts with this picture. I'm 2 years old. This is in Scotland, where my family is from. And I realized that I couldn't actually walk on water when I tried to go into the sea, and the sea came into my Wellington boots. And that was the beginning of my understanding of what I can do and what I couldn't let interfere with my choices. So I picked myself back up again, and here's me, happy, smiley, sunny, learning how to ride a bicycle for the first time. And this has been the pattern of the way I have lived my life in work and in my life. Everything's been up and down, but you always get up and you always carry on, no matter what happens to you. So one of the things that I like to talk to people about is when you think about what you want to do with your career or the work that you want to do, whatever you choose, it always takes lots of different directions. So sometimes it can go straight upwards. Sometimes it just goes round in circles and you learn more and you get deeper into the subject that you've chosen. Sometimes you move sideways. Sometimes you go in all sorts of different directions as you learn more about the thing that you're trying to get better at. I will say that my career has been very much zigzag. So I've zigzagged across different things that I have learned to do and the things that have interested me. One of the things that I'm really keen to help people understand is learning your craft, learning some skills, becoming proficient in what you're doing is exactly what you should be focusing on, but not solely. Taking different perspectives, experiencing different cultures and different jobs that are maybe outside of your current comfort zone actually give you really good opportunities to explore, to grow, and to find out things about what you like to do and what you can offer to that particular space. So don't just think it's all about skills and qualifications. It's also about learning different things, talking to different people and getting different perspectives from all of those people that you meet and all of the things that you choose to do. So here's a few dates for you. So this is a potted history of my career. So that none of you, I doubt, were alive when my university career began. So I started my university career in 1983 after I got some A-levels. Now, I don't know what the equivalent of A-levels are these days. Is it still A-levels? Give us a thumb up if it's an A-level. Perfect, thank you. So I went to university and I did some studying of languages. So I studied German, French, and Spanish. And I also studied French and English law. And I wanted to do one of two things. Either I go into the European Union and work as an interpreter or a translator, or maybe become a lawyer. Unfortunately, there was a real sadness in my family at that time, and I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do. Very sadly, my mother died after a very short illness, and that was a real dip. So remember I said there are ups and there are downs. That was a down in my life and in my career, and it meant that I couldn't go and do what I wanted to do because I chose to stay at home with my family. And I got a job as a secretary, which was such an interesting role, looking after all sorts of individual people who had very busy lives in a very big technology company called Xerox. So I'd been doing that job for a couple of years. And then all of a sudden, I heard one of the people I was working for talking to someone in France, trying to get them to understand what they were saying. Now, remember what I said at university? I studied French. So I thought I could be really brave here and help them out. So I did. I said, give me the phone. What do you want? And I spoke to the other person on the phone in French. You could have heard a pin drop. Everyone was so shocked. And I literally heard the words, but you're just a secretary. Why can you speak French? And I just looked at them and said, well, I studied French. And this was an opportunity to help them. And so from that point on, from that single moment of courage, I spent the next 4 years working on their graduate program, learning a little bit more about the technology that Xerox was building at the time, which set me up for a really good foundation because I spent some time working in France. And I was working on translating some of their product documentation. So some of those big manuals that come with the products that were sold by Xerox, I was translating them from French into English. And at that point, I realized that I really liked working with words, working with language, working with writing. And so I spent some time becoming a technical writer, learning how to write different types of documents that you might see when you buy a product. It comes with one of those little leaflets that help you understand what that product does and how it works. And I zigzagged my way through a number of jobs that helped me really learn how to write really great documents and content, not only in a book, but also on websites. And that really helped me spend 16 years of my life really becoming very skilled, but also working in different environments, working with software, working with hardware, so the computers that you're using today, working with those, and also then working with really big photocopiers. You might have seen a really big photocopier where you take copies. I used to work for a company that produced and manufactured those. And then I was really lucky enough to get a job at Arm. So that was 6 years ago. I spent the first year commuting from where I lived at the time, and then I finally made the plunge, and we actually moved to be near the office, which is based in Cambridge. And really that's the story and my journey of developing into the role that I have today. And here are my tips for taking time to develop your own interests and your own career. It doesn't really matter if you don't know what you want to do. The important thing is be curious. Take time to learn and learn about new things. And then prove to yourself that what you're doing is really worthwhile. I also say adopt this growth mindset. What that means is, remember my ups and downs. So whenever you have a down, you don't just throw in the towel and say, that's it, I can't do it. You say, right, I've had an up, I'm going to learn how to do it in a different way. And allow those downs to help you climb up those hills again to be successful. I always say that you need a really good circle of people around you. So find people who can teach you, who can inspire you, and who can support you. I also think you should volunteer to do lots of different things, even if you're not sure you can do them, because it's really important to experience different things and learn how to do different things. And I also encourage every single one of you just to be a bit brave. Remember me talking to the man in France on the telephone? Just be a little bit brave and have a little moment of courage sometimes, because you never know where that will take you. And just to finish off, I wanted to share a few things about me. These are some of the things that I like to do. I love to cook and I love to bake breads. I love reading books and watching different films, taking long walks in the countryside. And I hope that you can see this, because I love dancing with my dogs. And just wait, there's another dog on its way. There you go. So I hope that that's given you, keep playing. I hope that's given you a little bit of insight into my career, some of the things that have been important to me, well, getting where I am today, and giving you an insight of the fact that dogs really do love to dance, and I love to dance with my dogs. Thank you so much for your kind attention. If anyone's got any questions, I'd be very happy to answer them now.
Thank you, Nikki. I'm just bringing Claire in there.
Sure.
Yeah. Hi, Nikki. Thank you. That was really, really interesting. We enjoyed it, didn't we?
Yeah.
So we've popped a couple of questions in the chat box for you, but if we can just invite everybody else to either pop their questions in, or Steph can unmute you one at a time. Thank you.
I will stop sharing my screen and then I will have a look at the questions in the chat. Okay, I'm going to start at the top. We're waiting for the bubbles. We've got the bubbles. Right. So Kira would like to know if Nikki has always liked computers and technology. That's a really good question. I think I've always been a little bit geeky. And I use that in the best possible terms, because I like to know how things work. I love my phones and my gadgets. And I think throughout the years, I've always been interested in different gadgets and the way that they work. So yeah. What do I do now, and how many people are you the boss of? Hopefully I've answered that question. So it's about 110 people. And I look after all of those people who provide a service for writing documentation. So all of the documents and the manuals that come with our products on how to use them and how to make them work. That's what I do today. I'm glad someone loves the dog dancing. That's very sweet. They do love to dance, I have to say. I've locked them in the kitchen at the moment though, because they can bark very loudly. And that's very kind. Anyone got any other questions? Oh, I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed it.
There's another couple of questions popping up there, Nikki.
Excellent. Right. So have you ever failed at anything and how did you deal with it? I failed at lots of things. I think I've not always got things right. I've not always made the right decisions. I'm reminded of when I first joined ARM, I made a decision about something that we would do in a technology way. And it turned out to be the worst decision ever. It meant that my teams had to do so much more work. They were getting so frustrated. So I changed my mind. So, and I think when you can't do something, or when it doesn't go as well as you might want it to, the thing is to say, right, how else can I do it in a different way so that I can perhaps be better at it next time? And I don't think you should be scared of failure. I think that the things that we don't do well often help us do things better next time. Ross would like to know if there are any subjects I dropped but wish I could continue with now. That's a really good question. So I dropped chemistry and biology. I think I'm okay with not doing chemistry, but I think I might quite have liked to carry on with biology. And in fact, later on in life, when I graduated from university, I actually went back to night school, to night college, and studied anatomy and physiology. So all about how the body works, what goes on inside the body. And I did some separate qualifications so that I could become a sports massage therapist in my spare time. And I used to work for a football club, a Premier League football club, as a volunteer. I used to work for their youth program. So I think if you're interested in something, you can always find time to learn more about it. And I spent evening classes learning about biology and anatomy. Was I a confident person when I was at school? Oh, that's a really good question. So school was a time that I loved. I loved learning, but unfortunately, there were some people who didn't like me very much. So I was a little bit bullied. And I think that you should never be in a position where you are bullied. But my parents were really helpful, and they just said, ignore them, you are your own person, and ultimately everything will be all right in the end. And they were right. And so I just stuck with who I was. I didn't change who I was. And eventually, all of the people who didn't like me very well said sorry to me later on in life, which I think is a really good thing for them. So I think I was confident enough, but not overly confident, because I just needed to be who I was. And that's because I got really good encouragement from both my teachers and from my parents. Are there any movies that inspire you? Now, I've got a favorite movie. Does it inspire me? Probably not. But my favorite movie is a really, really, really old movie called Singing in the Rain, which is a musical movie with Gene Kelly and Debbie Reynolds. Yes, and I dance to it and I sing to it. You know that I like to dance already because I dance with my dogs. But yeah, that's my favorite movie. If I was going to say inspirational movie, this is a slightly newer film. It's called The Martian. And it's about a group of people who went to Mars and they left one person behind. And it was about that individual who was left behind on Mars solving one problem, then another problem, and then another problem, and he never gave up. And that I find quite inspiring, because he never gave up trying to solve his problems so he could come back to Earth. Great questions, everyone. Really good questions.
Right, thank you very much, Nikki. It's been really, really interesting.
I'm so glad. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for waving. I love the waves. I think they're fantastic. Thank you.
Right. Can we give everybody give Nikki a clap? And if anybody's got any other questions, if you pop me or Steph an email, I can pass them on to Nikki and I can get back to you.
I'd be very happy. Oh, thank you so much. I've had such a good time. Have a lovely day, everybody.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.